Hello everyone, this is POW Ponder on Weather. In this update, we've got an active setup over the next couple of days with a huge winter storm and rounds of severe weather. And we've got more severe weather coming back in the picture next week, plus an update on the LaNina. Good morning everyone, this is your March the 11th update. And we've got a huge winter storm brewing out there. It's got a pretty good swath of snow right now happening in portions of New Mexico and the Texas Panhandle, all the way through the central U.S., extending all the way through Michigan with these massive winter storms. Winter weather advisories from New Mexico to the Texas Panhandle, even into portions of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, pretty much the entire state of Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, through the Ohio Valley, and then it goes to winter storm warnings up here into Pennsylvania, going into New York with a massive winter storm. And then on the south side, we have that Arctic air. There's the Arctic air all the way reaching down into Austin, Texas. But yeah, to the south side, where they're not in that Arctic air, you're in that warm zone. That's where you're creating those stronger thunderstorms, and some of those are going to be on the severe side as we get into the overnight hours tonight. So let's take a look at the overall setup, because the Storm Prediction Center has highlighted an enhanced risk for areas in and around the panhandle of Florida. I do feel this is going to be an overnight setup, unfortunately. And yes, the atmosphere is going to be rotating. So yeah, definitely be on high alert if you live anywhere from New Orleans through all the way to South Carolina, but especially towards the Florida Panhandle into the overnight hours, because some of those storms could get pretty bumpy. So definitely have your weather radio handy and listen to all watches and warnings. But let's take a look at the setup for 9 o'clock this morning. So we got the snow breaking out into portions of New Mexico, all the way extending through Missouri, all the way to Michigan. To the south of there, we've got that lift, and man, that's a 35-degree drop what you experienced yesterday in Dallas. Now we've got, instead of bright sunshine, you've got sleet and freezing rain breaking out into West Texas. I think this all kind of transfers over to a light dusting as we get into the afternoon hours. So as we do that, yeah, it transfers a little bit of all snow on the backside of the system as we get to that 5 o'clock time frame. But to the south of there, where you are in that warm zone, you got all just heavier, light to moderate, heavier rain into South Texas, into Louisiana. That just extends into the Florida Panhandle, through Georgia, and much of the Carolinas, as you just have this massive swath as those two systems really kind of merge together by then, with that heavier snow bands really starting to take shape. As we move through into the overnight hours, there's your significant tornado parameters. Man, these storms are going to be packing a wallop in the overnight hours. The atmosphere is going to be rotating, so it really highlights, unfortunately, in 2 o'clock in the morning time frame, a pretty good significant spin in the atmosphere by then into the Florida Panhandle. So definitely be on high alert down here in portions of the southeast and the Florida Panhandle. But there's the setup to the north. Yeah, we could be just expanding that heavier snow band and a good swath from Mississippi to Alabama, through Tennessee by then, going into Kentucky, through the Ohio Valley, through western parts of PA, going into upstate New York by then, into the overnight hours, with just that very heavy rain, convective training, heavy rain, and to a good chunk of the southeast and along the eastern seaboard. And as this extends, I think the severe threat just pushes off into the East Coast, and we've got that heavier snow pushing into eastern parts of Pennsylvania, eastern parts of New York, going into Vermont and New Hampshire, back into Maine by then, and tails all the way through into portions of Virginia. And then you just got that heavy convective raining, heavier thunderstorms through central Florida, all the way up the East Coast into South Carolina, North Carolina, into portions of Delaware. And there's the setup on going into tomorrow. Yeah, we've still got another enhanced risk for severe weather right along the East Coast. So definitely be on high alert in and around South Carolina, getting into North Carolina, as these thunderstorms are really going to be packing a punch as we move through the daytime hours tomorrow. but I think it all kind of transfers over to a light snow on the back end. So you've got a huge transition of really warm temperatures along the I-95 corridor with a heavier rain. And then once that Arctic air moves in, you got a lot of cold air filtering on the backside. So you got a huge transition to that snow breaking out into portions of Delaware, into Jersey, back into portions of Long Island, into getting into Connecticut here, into Massachusetts, as well as into Vermont, New Hampshire, back into Maine, into the kind of Saturday afternoon time frame. But going into Sunday morning, it gets really cold. I mean, you got a quick 36-hour shot of Arctic air in much of the Central Plains and Texas. That just moves off into the southeast. So back behind it, you got plenty of cold for March standards in the single digits for portions of up here into the mid-Atlantic states, into the Northeast. But even down to the Southeast, you're not going to be missing out on this cold blast. You got widespread 20s on the backside after that severe weather moves out. Then the Arctic air moves in for Sunday morning. Yeah, widespread 20s into the Southeast, and even in the Florida Panhandle with freezing temperatures, and even possibly as far south as the Central Florida into the mid 30s potentially, with that Arctic air really taking a grip. But that just all kind of swings around. We got another rapid change going into Monday timeframe. The temperatures start to really warm up on the backside off that southwest wind. Once the southwest wind kicks into the Central Plains and much of Texas here, that's a warmer wind. So then you have another trough that's going to set up in the midsection of the country, and that is going to create more instability for possibly another round of severe weather. So if we take a look at the temperatures, by the time we get into Monday, instead of the winter storm warnings and watches we have right now on weather advisories with potential freezing rain and snow today, you're talking 80s and if not 70s for much of Texas, with again another trough moving in, tapping into that instability. And there's the dew points along with an active dry line again, setting up over portions of Texas, with the dew points elevating back into the low 60s, back into the almost 60 degrees in and around portions of North Texas into East Texas. And yeah, even 4 days out now. So it's you go from winter weather advisories to a slight risk for severe weather on the day on Monday as things start to rapidly change again. So now we could be talking severe thunderstorms into the late afternoon, into the evening hours on that Monday timeframe, March the 14th, in and around the Dallas-Fort Worth area, heading into portions of East Texas and to Shreveport, into Arkansas, into Oklahoma, these same areas that have like winter weather advisories in place right now for Friday are going to be talking severe weather by the time we go into that Monday time frame. And I think that trough just extends and kind of expands and heads right along the I-20 corridor into Louisiana, into Mississippi, back into Alabama, back into Florida again, as the rest of the country starts to really rapidly change and warm up again. You just have this instability down underneath, and that is going to create more severe storms. So a lot of the same areas that get hit today could be potentially get hit again as we go into that Tuesday timeframe, into Mobile, back into Jackson, back into Tallahassee, the Florida Panhandle, south parts of Alabama, into Georgia, kind of all these same areas, almost pretty much identical, the same areas that got hit over the last couple of days, and even today are going to be under the gun again by the time we go into that Tuesday time frame. And there's your setup by Wednesday. So we got more heavier rains moving back into the portions of the southeast, up the eastern seaboard. So you got a lot of heavier rain going to be, really impacting this neck of the woods, as we've got those storms coming off the Pacific Northwest, heavier rain into the, off the west coast here, but then it transfers to over kind of a mountain snows into portions of Idaho, into Montana by then, back into the Rocky Mountains, And then let's get an update on the La Nina, because we've been in a La Nina for the last, since October time frame. And the latest update from the Climate Prediction Center, they do this every second Thursday of the month, and it's not good with people that experienced in much of the drought, because I think it just extends. I mean, you pretty much have a really good chance of this La Nina extending all the way through the rest of spring. And then even heading towards into summer, there's still a 53% chance this extends, the La Nina extends all the way through the summer months as well. So a lot of these areas that have been getting the rain as of late, and all the dry areas, I don't think, for the most part, this pattern is really not going to change terribly too much. We've seen an active setup at times for the Pacific Northwest along the coastal areas. We've seen much drier conditions for California and much of the Southwest, much of the interior regions here, and a good chunk of Texas. Once it hits the Gulf of Mexico and taps into those really warm waters into the Gulf of Mexico, it has all that lift. So you got a lot of the action in portions of the Southeast, but especially into the Ohio Valley, and much of getting into portions of Tennessee, into Kentucky, where they've got just the most rain. And I think that overall setup just continues with the La Nina setup. And here's the drought. So a lot of the areas that have has kind of seen the drought over the last 6 months really expand. I don't really see a change in this overall pattern for the next 3 or 4 months. So a lot of the areas that have seen some of the drier conditions are going to be continuing to see the drier conditions. And a lot of the areas that just really don't need the rainfall, and a good chunk of the portions of the Southeast, and especially the Ohio Valley here, they're going to be in the bullseye for the next couple of months of just the heavier rain setups, going forward through spring. So hey, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video, and definitely leave your comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel to catch the latest update where I protect you before and after storm.